It's Victoria LeBlanc, your host, and I have missed y'all. I know that there wasn't an episode posted last week, but I am back and ready for y'all to listen to this brand new podcast episode today. This has been a long time coming because I feel like there hasn't been many guests appearing on the show lately, but don't you worry because today there will be one, and her name is Kristen Jones. And we are going to be diving into quantum Reiki healing and also diving into how you can start to cultivate a relationship with your spirit guides and your spirit team. So I want to introduce Kristen. Kristen is a spiritual business coach for healers and quantum Reiki Grand Masters. In her early 30s, Kristen realized her current reality was no longer serving her, including the business she had built. Anxiety was a daily occurrence, and though she put on a smile to those around her, she was really struggling with depression as well. This was when she was launched into her biggest spiritual awakening and began searching for answers to her anxiety and depression. Deep down, she knew that there had to be another way. Through the past several years, Kristen has done deep childhood healing, healing within her marriage, and healed and cleared out anxiety and depression. She has also learned how to work with the natural cycle as a woman to incorporate the divine masculine and feminine energies in a cyclical way in business. Kristen has built a robust quantum Reiki school, certifying healers around the world, as well as teaching them how to launch and expand their healing businesses in a soulful, aligned AF way. She is committed to helping healers learn this incredible healing modality to raise the consciousness of the planet, as well as helping healers heal themselves while launching and expanding healing businesses that are abundant and soul-filling. I am so excited for you to hear our conversation today, but also make sure to check out the show notes because in the show notes you will see the free resources that Kristen has generously provided for my audience. You will see a free dose of quantum Reiki healing as well as a free anxiety release guide. Go check them out. And now, before we begin, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Blissfully Bloom. I'm Victoria LeBlanc, your host, and this podcast was created to empower women to love themselves unconditionally, transform their mindsets, and discover their own inner bliss. I want to welcome Kristen Jones with me here today. She is a quantum Reiki Grandmaster, and we are going to be talking all about quantum Reiki and spirit guides. So I'm so excited. Welcome, Kristen.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, thank you for coming, and I am just really excited to dive into our conversation today. Now, the first question that I ask a lot of my guests is, what is one powerful lesson you have learned that has changed your life?
So this is a really great question, something I really contemplated on. And I feel like there's so many that I could dive into, but for the sake of like a shorter podcast, let's say like in the past year, I feel that stepping into awareness of the different triggers that are coming up for me and taking that a step further, the different energetic blocks that are coming up for me as well. Like where are, energy cannot be compartmentalized. And so if something is showing up in one area of my life, where is it showing up on somewhere else where I can clean up this energy and give myself the opportunity to be able to open myself up a little bit further, which takes weight off, which takes stress off, which takes anxiety off, and just really allows yourself to open up to receive and live in more joy and bliss, right?
Yeah. So I'm curious to know, how do you identify those triggers? Because that is just such a great way to learn more about yourself and discover more about what makes you kind of get those hot flushes inside. And they might be telling you something about maybe what you may need to dive and look into further.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. It's giving yourself that opportunity to really see and witness what it is that's coming up for you. And so how I identify those is anger. Like if I'm feeling angry or frustrated or even anxious, really any kind of trigger, anything that makes you feel anything less than awesome is a really a
Yeah.
great opportunity to be like, huh, isn't that interesting? Like I really like the concept of a train where, we can hop on this train of trigger, whether it's anger, anxiety, overwhelm, stress, whatever it is, and we can ride it with the conductor, just letting it take us wherever it goes, right? Or we can be like, okay, I had the human experience, I felt all the feels, and I'm gonna hop off of this train. I'm gonna be like, okay, I see this. Where did this come from? Why did I feel that way? And what would I rather feel instead?
Wow, because I think if you just continue to allow what triggers you to just stay and linger, then I think nothing will ever change because then you're just going to constantly feel the same or react in the same way to certain situations. And then
Mm,
nothing will ever be shifted in the direction that you want. So I really love that approach to like
yeah.
approach it with some sense of curiosity
Mm.
and rather than judgment or jumping to criticism towards yourself. So I love that.
Yeah, I really love the phrase being the gentle observer. Giving yourself the opportunity to feel the feels, gently observing, even like a bird's eye view or an outside perspective. And in the beginning, it can feel like a full time job where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm having this trigger again, or here's this thing coming up, or oh, now I'm feeling anxious. And it's like, okay, shift, okay, shift. But it does get easier over time and it's less often. I mean, even last night, I sat down, I was triggered about something. I sat down, I did some breath work, I journaled, and I was like, okay, I'm good. And you're just giving yourself the opportunity to just feel better.
Funny how you say that because even just last night, I just felt my energy shift to like a low vibrational state. I really couldn't pinpoint why. I think well, now that I'm thinking back on it, it might have been just me in that comparison mode and maybe I was on social media. And then I was aware of that, but then I still chose to sit down and watch TV, even when there could have been so many other outlets, like just healing different modalities out there that I could have taken upon myself to choose to do instead. So it's like, even when you have that awareness, you still have to choose a more empowering way otherwise, which can be even that much harder when you're just so used to like being in that habit of maybe like self-sabotaging behaviors that you may not be aware of or different things like that. So I love how you were able to choose something really more healing and power and more empowering for you. So that's amazing.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. And I sent my husband a text because he was downstairs. I was like, it's about to get weird up here because I'm just going to let loose with this breath work pattern. So please don't judge me. I'm just going to do it. But also, like, going back to what you said about choosing to watch TV, in that moment, did that raise your vibration? Because sometimes it's like, okay, well, yes, I need to do the healing work. But sometimes what I need to do is laugh or watch something light to just shift and, observe this later. And that's okay too.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Now, I would love for you to share a bit about your journey from where you started to really blossom into becoming a quantum Reiki grandmaster.
Yeah. So my husband is active duty Air Force, and he had just finished a 13-month tour overseas, and we moved from Arizona to South Dakota. And it was in that time, like my anxiety had ramped up. I was selling the house. My kids were really little. We have pets. My husband was overseas. And when we moved here, I felt like my nervous system was just on overload and I was anxious all the time, crying all the time, couldn't figure out why. I was just not okay. And I feel like that flung me into my awakening, my spiritual awakening, where I just started experiencing a lot of different awarenesses and diving into healing and meditation and journaling. And during this awakening, one of my friends actually from Arizona and I had reconnected, and she said, oh my gosh, I am actually a Reiki master now. I would love to do a healing for your family. And it was so funny because prior to her reaching out to me, I had been hearing Reiki over and over. And I hadn't really known exactly what it was or how it worked or anything. I just knew of it. And I was like, sure, if you would like to do a healing session, I would love that. And so she did it for my family and I. And I remember when she connected, because she's in Arizona, I'm in South Dakota. And when she connected to my energy, I just felt like everything dissipated. It was kind of like one of those older TVs where you have to change the stations and it just makes like that popping sound, you know? That's what it felt like, static just dissipating. And it felt so good. And I was like, okay, I'm in. So I started hiring healers of different Reiki styles and alchemy and different healing modalities. And I was like, okay, now it's time for me to learn. I learned Usui first and became a master. But even though it's beautiful, I love all Reiki styles. I just never really connected fully with it. I was like, oh, there's something more. There's something more. I feel like something's missing. And so I just opened myself up. I was like, okay, spirit team, angels, guides, loved one, like show me whatever my next step is. And that's when Quantum Reiki just popped into my lap. I was like, what is this? This is cool. And it just blew my mind. I was like, okay, this is exactly what I was feeling was missing. Became a master and a grandmaster. And yeah, it's been amazing. I started offering group sessions and one-on-one sessions, and now I teach it internationally as well. So it's just one of those things where it when you take a look at your journey of where you are now and you look back, it's like all of the stepping stones led you to exactly where you are. Sometimes it's hard to see the forest through the trees, but that path is actually there, even though we can't see it.
Yeah, I love how you were able to connect back with your friend, and it reminds me of divine timing, how she came back into your life in that exact moment where you didn't probably had no idea the impact that that would have. That's just incredible how that works, and how the universe is just so magical in that way. You said that you taught Reiki. Do you have like little online courses that you offer, or how do you teach it?
Yeah, so I actually taught it live the first few rounds because I teach it as an 8-week certification for the master and a 3-month for the grand master. And I decided to make it self paced and fully supported. So it's all online, so it's accessible at my students' convenience. And then we have weekly live calls for community and support. I do lesson check ins after every lesson, as well as a Facebook group for support. So they're never left feeling like, oh man, I have no idea what's going on, or like because they heal themselves as they're going through the program as well by the way that I teach it. And so sometimes like things are hitting the fan and they're like, oh man, I just really need support. And I can be that support for them as they're going through it. So whether they have questions or, emotions coming up, I can support them through that. So I can definitely provide you with the link to discover Quantum Reiki. And then also my DMs are always open. I love to answer questions and connect with my audience too.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah.
And let's see. I would love to know how quantum Reiki is different from the other styles of Reiki that you have experienced.
Yeah. So quantum Reiki is actually the newest style of Reiki to date. It was discovered in 2017 by Axel Carrasquillo and was brought out to the world to be taught in 2018, which is when I learned it. So the way that it differs from traditional styles there's many different ways. We'll touch on a couple of like my favorites. So with traditional styles of Reiki, it vibrates at a 3.5D to 4.5D max. And I'll explain what that means as well. Where quantum Reiki vibrates at a 5D plus. So we're healing at a higher dimension. Again, I'll dive into that in just a second because it's like all fancy terms of like, what does that actually mean? And then with traditional styles of Reiki, we're healing at a conscious level and a physical level. And so what this means is we're healing our clients and ourselves of what they're already aware of. So those triggers, the anxiety, the overwhelm, the stress, anything that's coming up in their lives, any of the traumas that they are aware of can be treated. and then in any physical pains that they're aware of. Oftentimes, the physical ailments that are going on in our body are actually caused by traumas or different things that have happened throughout life, right? With quantum Reiki, we're healing at that conscious and that physical level, but we're also healing at a subconscious and a cellular level. So, simply put, this means that we can dive into this healing with a client. And if they're experiencing this stress, anxiety, and overwhelm, even if they're not sure where it's coming from, it will bring it forward for them so they have the opportunity to be able to heal and release it once and for all. So it works really fast. And then the simplicity. So it is super powerful, but it's simple. With traditional styles, you have to channel it. So, what that basically means is you're opening up your crown chakra, you're allowing the life force energy to come in through your body, out through your arms and your hands, and then to the client. So, I find that this is very limiting because it really depends on what the practitioner has going on. If they've cleared themselves, if they're going through anything themselves, can diminish the effect of the life force energy that the client receives. With quantum Reiki, we come from this understanding that life force energy is literally all around us. It's in this microphone I'm talking into. It's in this wood desk. I mean, it's in literally everything. And so all we have to do is grab it and give it to our client. There's no doorways, nothing. It's so simple. And so all of these like fancy terms just simply mean that we are able to heal our clients at deeper levels, subconscious levels, and help them heal and release once and for all.
Well, I've just been studying a little bit about the subconscious mind. So, like, all of the programming was developed between 1 and 7. So, when we were that young, we didn't really have any other beliefs to back them up. So we just carried them all as true. And most of them, probably a lot, you probably didn't even remember that that even became a belief. So that is really, really powerful because I think whenever I was going through my coaching training, we do go through limiting beliefs and really transforming them. Yeah, shifting them into the beliefs that we want. But it's like I had such a hard time on that part because I felt myself being confused about which ones were even my limiting beliefs. And I
Mhm.
had a hard time even discovering what they were. So I think that's really powerful and that your clients don't even have to say, hey, this is what I want to work on. And they don't have to be aware of it. They can just literally, the healing can do what it needs to do. So that's really,
Yeah.
really cool.
Ooh, I just got chills. Yes, that's exactly it. The quantum Reiki is a conscious energy. And so, when we're doing healing with a traditional style of Reiki, we do still need to coach them through it because clients won't be aware of what it is that's actually coming up. With quantum Reiki, there is no coaching required. I still love to coach. It's something that I love to do, which I'm sure you relate. It's one of those things, it's just not necessary because it's going to come up for them for their highest and best good always.
And I have taken a course as well. I think it was more of the traditional side of Reiki. And I didn't finish it yet. I think maybe because I honestly probably didn't feel really connected to it. And that's why I wasn't motivated to finish it. But the instructor on there was showing us different symbols to use. So do you still use symbols in quantum Reiki?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yes, we still have symbols. I know with most traditional styles they teach you to draw them or, whatever. With quantum Reiki you don't need to do that. They're there for you, but you don't have to draw them. You can literally think of, the healing key that it is that you want to do, the symbol, talisman, whatever you want to call them, are all interchangeable. But you can just set that intention of this is the key I would like to use, and that is enough. Like my hands are even vibrating just of the key that I was just thinking about. It
Wow.
works so fast. It's so amazing.
So, what are some of the healing benefits whenever your clients do experience your healing methods that you use for quantum Reiki? And can you share a success story?
Yeah. So what I love about Reiki in general and quantum Reiki included is that the benefits are truly limitless. So anything that you're struggling with, it can Quantum Reiki can help you with. Some of the things that people come to me the most are for clarity. They come to for anxiety release. Maybe they're feeling like, I work in the healing community, so a lot of them are healers. So, releasing negative energy that they've picked up that's not theirs. Any physical ailments. For example, I've been working with one of my students who is also a client, and she is trying to get pregnant. And so we've been doing a lot of like sacral chakra clearing and healing, really supporting her through that. So literally it's limitless. Things like anxiety and overwhelm and stress, just really helping release that. Insomnia, more connection with your higher self and your spirit team. It does amplify any spiritual gifts and abilities, which is really cool as well. It heightens your intuition. I mean, I could go on and on. I'll stop there.
Ooh. That's amazing, though.
Yeah. And then as far as a success story, I would say the one that popped into my mind was actually someone that I had done when I was doing spiritual life coaching. I do business coaching now, but when I was doing more spiritual life coaching, one of my clients had gone through some childhood trauma, and some severe childhood trauma. And when she first came to me, we had been actually friends in the past, and I had been like, oh man, I don't know if I'm qualified because this is really big. And I was like, what can I do to support this amazing soul, like through this journey of everything she's been through, things I didn't even know. And we had been friends when we were little. Through not just the coaching, but through the quantum Reiki, we were able to do tiny shifts at a time, where in the beginning, everything felt so big. She always felt so anxious and almost kind of some OCD tendencies, definitely a lot of perfectionism and fear of, not being good enough, and what the repercussions were going to be if it wasn't like perfect or good enough. And through the quantum Reiki, we were able to clear out some of this subconscious programming and help her release, help her go from the hyper focus to just being like, okay, I'm here. What's the next step? And everything else can wait. Something else happened while in the program as well. She was going through IVF, and she did lose one sweet little baby, but then she was able to get pregnant, and she just gave birth a couple months ago. What is it? It's October. Oh my gosh, June, I think she had her baby girl. And so it was like, oh my gosh, what what a beautiful just journey of transformation, and what's possible when you actually heal and release, and what your body is holding on to, and when you drop it, what can happen.
Wow. Do you find that the stories that we hold on to is what might be blocking us from getting what we want?
Yeah, I do believe that, because I feel that, like, when it comes to working with the quantum field or with energy in general, in the basic terms, what we think we attract. I know a lot of people are familiar with The Secret. I am not a huge fan of that book, but this is basics because they only talk about the surface layer stuff. But it's the same concept, right? Where what we think we attract, if we're holding on to our experiences as well, and we become those experiences and they're not serving us, how is it benefiting us by holding on to it, which is kind of like a call out question for us to ask ourselves. And also because sometimes it is actually benefiting us in some way, but by keeping us safe. But when we drop those and we heal them and we release them, we open ourselves up for so much more, so many beautiful gifts and things that can just make their way to us, and feeling good too.
Yeah, yeah. Thinking about like that victim mentality that some of us hold, and how literally just choosing to give our power away, because when we're in that victim mentality, yeah, you just feel powerless in a sense. And just the overall general theme of the story really has a big impact. Like if it's based around fear, or based around the victim mentality, or based around lack of abundance. So that's really, really powerful when you begin to just, even just the wording and the language that you use in
Yeah.
those stories can really shift it and turn it around.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned the victim mentality because it's very relatable, I think, for a lot of people. And it is one of those things where it's like, okay, how has this served me in the past? Because it has served us by some way where, it kept us safe or it kept us supported in some way, even if it wasn't for the best, it was still brought us in something. And it's like, okay, but what happens if I allow myself the opportunity to release and heal the victim mentality? Then what? Then what does my story get to be? Then what do I get to feel? And how can I feel that now?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, so moving on now to spirit guides. Who are spirit guides? What exactly are they, and how can we begin to connect with them?
Yeah, I love this. I feel that there will be so many different opinions on how to explain spirit guides. For me, it is the angels that are around us that are here to support us throughout our journey of life. These can be people or so people that we've connected with in past lives that are here with us. It could be just angels that are here to support like our soul mission. It could even be loved ones that have passed on. I know for me, my grandma was like my person. And when I lost her, it was like I lost a piece of myself. And now I know that she's here around me, supporting me, guiding me. I can ask her for help. She leaves me signs and things like that. And so it's really just your angels, your support team, your cheerleaders that are here with you. They cannot intervene unless you ask them. I personally talk to them like they're my homies, like they're my friends because they are. Of course, I respect them, but I feel like we overcomplicate a lot of things. And so it's like, how can we simplify this? And so, yes, you can create a ritual where you can go in, light some beautiful candles and some incense or whatever feels good and do a meditation to meet your spirit guides. That is actually a lot of fun. There's a lot of different meditations on YouTube that you can find to meet your spirit guides. You could also just ask, just like, hey, I'm needing some help today. Can you guys help me out? Or I need a sign. Can you just show me a sign? And it could literally be anything. I find the more specific I get, the clearer the answer is. But yeah, I just trust whatever comes through.
Kind of letting go of those expectations of what you think should be and just allow whatever is there.
Yeah.
And so when you say meet them, would you hear a voice? Would you actually see like an immersion or some type of human figure? How would a meet and greet be for our spirit guides?
Oh my God, I love that. Meet and greet of our spirit guides. That is so cute and so great. I love it. Yes, I think somebody should create a meditation called a meet and greet of spirit guides because that's so cool. So you're right. It could be a visual. It could be through like a hearing. And when I say hearing, it's not actually like somebody is next to you talking to you, but it can sound like that. But usually it sounds like your own voice. So for me, I see, and this would look like when a guided meditation, I would be able to see them all like standing around or whoever wanted to come in, you would be able to see. You could also ask about if you have an animal spirit guide and who that is. And you could ask their names and trust whatever comes through. It could sound totally off the wall. I know when the name of my animal spirit guide came through, I was like, really? That's the name? Okay. And so yeah, just really trusting what comes through. I find that through meditation, there's a lot of visuals, but again, it really depends on the person. It depends on what you're open to receiving and also which of your channels are the clearest as well.
Is it normal to be like a little nervous to meet them because they are a part of like another dimension? Is that common for people to be a little nervous or maybe even like a little bit scared?
Yeah, I feel like it could be. I was just trying to think back to when I started really connecting with my spirit team. And yeah, in the beginning, I was like, oh, like, what is this going to look like? Am I going to start seeing all of my spirit team all the time? And I don't actually, when I go into meditation and I ask to like be surrounded or, receive any information or things that I need to know or am guided to know, I do or can actually see them. But in the day to day, I don't. I do have clients that do, but I don't. And so, yeah, I feel like it could be a little nerve wracking. Am I going to actually see something? What if I do? What if it freaks me out? What if it's too much? And so, my encouragement for that would be to, just take some deep breaths and let yourself know that you are safe, that it is okay. And you could even protect yourself, just be like, I am protected, I am safe. And know that they're only going to come through for your highest and best good.
That is a really good reminder to they are beings of love. They're
Mhm.
not
Yeah.
there to, cause you any harm in any way. So their purpose is there to support you, to guide you, just to be reminded of that whenever you are meeting and greeting with your spirit guides.
Like
And then
mocktail hour or something like that.
yeah, yes, yes, for sure. And then you did mention about the animal spirit guides that we
Mhm.
have. Do you think our pets can be animal spirit guides?
Yeah, I do feel that. For me, my main animal spirit guide is a lion. My dog that passed away in 2019, she was my girl. Like we were so connected, I have no doubt. And she will show up in my dreams every now and then. And I find that she does usually when I'm thinking about her the most. And so I feel like, yeah, I feel like they're still there. They're with you. If you need their love, they all you have to do is just ask and they will be there.
That's so beautiful. And the feeling like you're losing a family member
Yeah.
whenever that happens, and just knowing that they're going to be in your heart and that they could potentially be your guide can be really soothing to know.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. I agree.
Once we have asked our spirit guides some questions, then we receive a message from them. How can we interpret it?
That's a good question. So, what I really like to recommend if you are new to asking for support from your spirit team is one, keep it simple. Like they're just here for, like you just said, beings of love. That is exactly it. They are here for your highest and best good. They only want to support you. And so you can just ask them. The clearer you can get and the more specific you can get, the better. So I actually would say, if you're needing support around something, show me this object by this time. And that would be my sign. Not receiving that sign is also a sign. I'll share with you a short story about a quarter. Say I asked for a sign of a quarter and that quarter didn't show up by, say the next day, then that's also my sign to go take another path. Free will is also a thing, so we can choose. So, for example, it was early 2020 and I had been up all night, had a really rough situation going on personally. And I was like, okay, if I'm supposed to do this, please show me a quarter within the next 24 hours. If I'm supposed to do this, then I know that's also my sign. And so the next morning, I was getting my boys ready for school, and my youngest, I want to say he was 7 at the time, we were reading a book. And I'm just reading this book to him. It was about horses or whatever, just a small little children's book. And I turned the page, and the horse's name is Quarter. And I was like, oh, what? Like that. I was expecting like an actual coin, but the horse is a quarter, and I was like, no way. I just stopped and I was like, oh, that was not what I was thinking was gonna happen. He was like, "What is happening, mom?" I'm like, I just need a second." I was like, "What?" there's my sign. So, we
Wow.
think that it could show up one way, but just releasing. So I think the next step is just releasing what we think it needs to be or what it's going to look like. So maybe you're like, oh, I want to see, a blue dragonfly by tomorrow if I'm supposed to do such and such. And you think you're going to see an actual dragonfly fly by you, but maybe you see it on a mug or, on earrings or on a TV show or something. You're like, okay, there's my sign.
Wow. So not taking it literally, it could appear in different forms.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. That
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. And what is your relationship like with your spirit team, and how have you deepened your relationship with your spirit team?
Yeah. So I feel like in the beginning, like when I was really starting my spiritual awakening, was really when I started tapping into learning more about my spirit team. And what I would really do was, I would really start with rituals, meditation, journaling, connecting intentionally with them, and asking for signs. And I still ask for signs, but it's more in a relaxed way, the same way I would talk to a friend. Of course, with respect, but they're here, they're my cheerleaders, they're here to support me. And so I swear I'm not strange, but I'll just be like walking around the house. I'll be like, hey, I just need a sign on this. Like just a normal conversation that, can you help me out? Or what do I need to do about this? Or, hey, could I have some advice on this? Or I'm feeling called to share this about my audience. What's my next step? Or what's the information that they need to know? And just trust whatever comes through. Usually it's comes through like when I'm least expecting it or when I'm not busy doing something. Driving, which is not super convenient because you can't like text and drive. That's not safe. Or in the shower because I'm not distracted by anything. So 100% recommend shower notebooks. They're amazing.
Oh,
Yeah.
waterproof. Maybe there's a waterproof side.
Yes. Amazon. That's where I get mine.
Oh, wow. So that it's really a thing?
It's a thing. Yes.
Oh, that's so
Right?
cool.
Best investment and invention ever.
Wow. So I chose to do a distant Reiki healing session, and it was absolutely incredible. There was no words for it, and it's kind of hard to describe that this can still be done not in person. She told me to just kind of rest and be in a little meditative state for 30 minutes, and then we come back, and then she would just give me the rundown of any images that she saw or messages that were reflected back to her. And she said that she actually had this conversation with my own spirit guides, and they were there with her the whole time. And it's like I was amazed by it, but then it was hard for me to believe because I had never actually met them before. And I just never knew that I had this support system behind the scenes. It got me curious, I think, that experience that I had, but I wish I would have maybe had more of an opportunity to meet them beforehand. I think we were talking about before just the relationship building piece to it. So, is there any other advice that you would give to the listeners for building that relationship so that it's at its strongest that it can be?
Yeah. So I would say releasing that resistance of and the expectations of what you think it's going to be and just fully trusting. I guess a way to look at it is, how do you build a relationship with someone in human form when you're having, a friendship, right? What do? You consistently talk with them. You build that trust with them. When they say something, you have that trust, right? Same thing with your spirit team. If you look at it as, I'm just building a relationship with someone in the real, make believing, I guess, if you will, that they're in the real, you can connect with them consistently when it feels good for you. You can ask for guidance and just really trust. And I find that sometimes that there's less resistance to receiving when you are least expecting it. Maybe you're not doing something. Maybe you're not nose deep into TikTok for hours or, or,
So
whatever.
true.
Just giving yourself that space. I also feel that nature is a big healer just in general, but I think that it's a really great way to help, relax yourself, release, and be able to connect with your higher self and your spirit team as well.
Yeah, yeah, and that reminds me of a hike that I went on the other day. The strangest thing happened. It's not a everyday occurrence every time I go on the hike that I see deer, but I will see them every now and then. And this deer I saw, and then it literally came down from the top of the hill and onto the trail and just started walking on the trail and just following the path, and it allowed me to kind of like stand by it, but I honestly felt like so connected with
Wow.
this deer and I didn't know why, and it just kept turning back like looking at me, and it had like no fear in its eyes, and I feel like that was some sort of sign.
That's so beautiful. And deer are so amazing, especially Colorado deer. They're smaller here.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it had its big
wow.
ears. It was so
Wow.
cute. Experiences like that when you don't have any expectations. Like I wasn't expecting it to come on the trail. I
Yeah.
wasn't expecting it to just have that fearless mentality and allow me to come kind of close to it. But I think when you drop those expectations, you'll be surprised by what occurs.
Yeah. And it's really fun for me to be like, okay, I saw angel number 1111, or, like for you, you saw a deer. And so it's like, okay, what was I just thinking? Or what have I been thinking? And how can that relate? Because sometimes those signs like drop in and your spirit team is like, hey, yes, or hey, no, like knock that off. And so I really like to use the intuition, like allow yourself to, again, observe. Another thing you can do, this isn't one I highly recommend, but you can, this is a fun thing to do, is you can Google. Just go Google spirit animal deer, or, spiritual meaning of deer, or spiritual
Mm.
meaning of angel number, whatever, and see how it resonates with you. That's a lot of fun too.
Like kind of taking pieces of the meaning that relates to what you're maybe going through at that point in time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Because you definitely just don't want to, I guess, having to do that all of the time
Mm.
and just avoid interpreting it yourself, because you have a lot of wisdom already within you and it's waiting to be used and for you to like express that wisdom. And I think the spirit guides know that too. Like the spirit guides know that you already know, but they're
Mhm.
there to just kind of help you like feel better, I guess, and feel more supported
Yeah.
and and standing strong in that answer or standing strong in that decision.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, exactly. And again, it's a trust building thing, right? Where it's
Hmm.
like, oh, okay, I see this sign, I can bypass it, which sometimes, a bunch of signs come and you're like, okay, this is a lot. But you can, take the opportunity and be like, okay, what was I just thinking? What was I just feeling? What do I feel this means? And trust that. And,
Hmm.
again, that's that trust building thing for yourself, for your intuition, as well as with your spirit team too.
Yes, amazing. Well, I would love to know, where can listeners connect with you, Christine?
So I am most active on Instagram. I will provide you that since my name is spelled so differently. And then I can also be found on my website, andsherises.com, which does have all my social media links. But yeah, Instagram is where I hang out the most. Definitely come say hi. I love to talk.
Amazing. Definitely go give her a
Yes.
follow. And then let's see. Oh, my last question I have, and this is a signature question, is what does it mean to blissfully bloom?
Yes, I've been thinking about this one. And the thing that came to me the most was the word bliss. And I feel that when you allow yourself the opportunity to, be that gentle observer, give yourself the opportunity to heal and call in more of that feeling of bliss, of joy, of what you desire to feel. It does help you bloom into who it is that you are truly here to be.
Beautifully said. Thank you so much for sharing your interpretation of the phrase. And I just had a lovely time with you today, just getting to dive into these spiritual topics. So thank you so much again for coming on the show and sharing your wisdom with us all. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was a lot of fun. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, I just feel so inspired and lit up after this conversation today with Kristen. And I feel so grateful that she was able to carve out some time to share some of her wisdom with us all today. I want to share my one key takeaway from this episode, and that is to really allow yourself to invite in the amazing supportive relationships with your spirit guides. See what comes through. You just really never know how big of an impact they're going to make in your life. And just as Kristen said, compared it to making friendships in real time, right? When you are making friendships with other humans, what do? You be consistent, you show up, you invite them places, you are welcoming, and you are creating spaces of non-judgment, brave spaces where you can just you're free to be yourself and they are free to be themselves. So when you are starting this work and you're getting to know and meeting and greeting your spirit guides and your spirit team, really welcome them with open arms. Have an open mind. Go in with no expectations, right? And see where it takes you. I would love to know your key takeaways, so screenshot the episode and tag me on my Instagram at blissfully.bloom, and I will see y'all in the next episode. Bye.